if you're looking for the best bang for your buck for a home gym rack, this might actually surprise you. Okay, so here I am with the Evolpow P3A tank upgraded all-in-one power rack. Wow, that's a mouthful. But I want to give you a close-up look. We're going to go through assembly, the price, the features, the functionality. I mean, I want to give you an up-close look so that you can really get a sense of whether or not this is right for you in your home gym. But first, right off the bat, I just want to show you, because I left it right where it was, left all the stuff that was in the way, so it's a little bit messy. But I want you to see what this looks like in my actual space, because I don't have a ton of space. You'll see there, that's my door. This is my entryway. I convinced my wife to let me put a rack in here. So you can see that here we've squeezed in our little elliptical here, and it's right next to all of our shoes. So forgive the mess. I tried to tidy up a little bit, but I want you to see how well this fits in this space. It's really a fairly tight space. I mean, if you can see, I mean, even I can almost touch the edges of both things here, not quite. But before I forget though, I wanna make sure too that a little bit later in the video, I wanna talk about the specific situations about where this might work best and where it might not work well. So stay tuned for that, that's coming. But first, I wanna talk about just the dimensions, which makes a huge difference when it's in a home gym. Okay, so of course, aesthetically, it looks great. I mean, I had like a yellow and black rack before this, and it was fine. But I mean, you can't get over the, you can't get over the nice headboard there, which I'll put in a better shot here. And just the black is really sleek. But when you're talking, I mean, I've got plenty of space inside the rack itself. From the outside of the cage to the outside of the other end of the cage is only 47 inches. Some racks on the inside can get up to 47 inches. So this saves me several inches overall. Inside the rack, you actually have 41 inches. Height-wise as well, you can see, even considering the pull-up bar on top, even considering that pull-up bar, the height is only 84 inches. Now for reference, my previous rack, I couldn't even use to do pull-ups because my head would hit the ceiling. I've got 7-foot ceilings here, just barely, maybe a little bit over. So this fits perfectly well, and I have the ability to be able to kind of go, hit my head. I don't normally pull up that high, but I normally have the ability to be able to go up and not hit my head. Now, if you've got a bigger head than me, I'm only 5'6", so if you've got a really long neck and tall head, then maybe it's an issue, but most people are gonna have like 8-foot ceilings, so it shouldn't be an issue. Now, all of the posts are a 2x3 post, which I know typical standard industry standards for a lot of the big interchangeable equipment. It's interchangeable attachments. It's actually made for a 3x3 post, but from everything that I've seen online, 2x3 is sturdy. It's gonna be great. I mean, you can see if I like really throw myself into it, there's a little bit of a wobble, but that's really not gonna be an issue. I mean, I'm telling you, comparing this to the previous rack that I had, it was much more wobbly. So this, I'm actually really happy with how sturdy it is. Now, I always like to tell people that Evolpow did send me this rack in order for me to do a review on, but so what I always tell companies that reach out to work with me is that I'm not even willing to do the review if you're not going to give me just the complete freedom to be able to tell you exactly what I think about this. So that's what I do love about Evolpow. But if you do end up liking this rack, I do have a link down in the description. I did partner up with them with an affiliate program, and it's not gonna cost you anything, and it helps small creators like me be able to make more in-depth videos like this, and even more so, give you all the other tools to actually be able to transform your bodies, because I have a ton of other free information all on my YouTube channel. So at this point, I've been using this now for about a month, and honestly, I'm loving it. The versatility to be able to have all of this, where years ago, I mean, I came up doing all of this with just a few sets of dumbbells and some resistance bands. So to be able to have this and not have to leave my home, because for me, I want to stay home. I want to be near my family. I don't want to waste time driving to and from a gym. So this actually makes it possible, while still allowing me all of the versatility to be able to get the max amount of gains that it possibly can. Okay, so really quick, I want to talk assembly. Now, assembly, I've looked at a lot of these racks. Some of these racks, especially a little bit more of the pricier ones, I mean, you're talking 12 up to 24 hours of assembly time, actually putting it all together. Now, the cool thing is that when this arrived, I'll show you the boxes. Everything was left on my porch, but it's all stuff that by myself I could just bring in. It wasn't insanely heavy, too heavy for me to be able to carry. So that I did appreciate, because it allowed me to do everything myself. I put this whole thing together in about 5 or 6 hours total. Now, it was kind of broken up between 3 different days. And really, I did it all by myself with the exception, you'll see that trying to put up the, well actually the pull-up bar I think I did by myself, but trying to get the headboard up, that I did need 2 people for. So for the most part, you can do this yourself, which is really nice. And that amount of time is well worth it considering some of these things take up to 2 days to put together. I don't have that kind of time. The one thing I will say though, which I've heard with a lot of these things, it's just the reality of anything that you purchase. The instructions were not that great. They're pretty much all pictures. I mean, I was absolutely able to do it, but there was a few things that I had to I went ahead a few steps and then kind of had to go back and correct things that I had misunderstood. But for the most part, you should be fine trying to put it together. Now, there's a whole bunch of cool features. So let's get into the actual functionality of the rack, because that's really what's gonna make the difference for you. The one other thing that I do wanna mention that I heard another individual mention as well, not necessarily characteristic of the manufacturing and shipping, but I was missing just a few bolts. But the company was great to be able to work with, sending those right back out to me to make sure that I had everything that I needed in order to be able to make this happen. And that's absolutely one thing that I have appreciated about Evolpow, is that they've been very responsive in working through this. Now, as I've mentioned, these posts they're a 2x3 post with 2-inch separations between the holes. So although these are not the 3x3 posts, so most of the big brands, their attachments may not necessarily work, but there's not going to be a whole lot that you're going to need, and the company sells a ton of the attachments as well, anything that you might need. And the holes for the rack are the standard 1-inch hole. Now, these are built with 14 gauge steel, so I know there's some talk online of the typical recommendation for going with these is getting something that's 11 gauge steel, which is going to be a bit stronger. Everything that I can find online is going to indicate 14 gauge is going to be absolutely sufficient for 99% of people out there lifting, even if you are an advanced lifter. But if you're talking about something like at a powerlifting gym where you've got people with massive load, but they might be dumping the load onto the safety bars and all that, okay, then you might be getting to the place where you might want 14 gauge. But in this case, this is perfectly fine for 99% of people out there. And in order to be able to get up to that 11 gauge steel, you're talking a significant price increase. So the benefit of the 14 gauge is it's still plenty strong enough, but it's gonna save you a crap ton of money. And again, like when I compare this to the previous rack that I had, I mean, it's a night and day difference in terms of how sturdy and secure it feels. So the cool thing is that this is a plate loaded rack. So the cable system, the pulley system is gonna be, you're putting plates that you already have onto there, and that's what's gonna be functioning as your weight versus the stacked weights. But when you get into the stacked weights, you're talking like thousands of dollars in order, and also way heavier. That was the nice thing, is like once I took the plates off of this, I can move this myself. Now, as far as functionality goes, I honestly love the J hooks. Came with 2 J hooks, came with safety bars as well. Now, the nice thing too is that these sit in fairly tightly. I mean, you can hear there's a little bit of a wobble in there, but the previous rack that I had was super wobbly, and every time the bar would hit, it would constantly be like wiggling and making noise. So these ones, I'm really happy with how nice and snug they fit. Now, the other thing that I love too is just how the safety bars are really snug fit, and it gives it a lot more rigidity and sturdiness when I do have those in there. Now, I'll be throwing in some cons, some things that I'm not crazy about along the way, and this actually brings up the first one. So I'll show you this here. Okay, so hopefully you can see here, here's the cable. Now the safety bar obviously has to go in between here. So now typically my wife and I don't squat within the cage, but that's how the safety bars are set up to be able to use, is if you're inside the cage, that's where you can dump the bar if you had to. We typically squat and bench press on the outside of the cage. We're not lifting insanely heavy loads, like 1 to 3 rep max. So it's really not a concern for us, but the cable, you have to pull the cable out of the way in order to get these things out, which is not a huge deal. It's a snug fit. I do love how that works though. So that's the only downside about that. It's a little bit of a nuisance, but normally we either just leave them there and they're fine, or most of the time we have them out because we don't really have a need to use them that much. Now, there's actually a comment on Amazon that said this is a garbage rack, the cables are terrible, it snapped within 2 weeks. I mean, I'm telling you, these, I don't know if you can get you can't really get a sense of how nice they are, but they're incredibly sturdy. I have no concerns about that. I mean, obviously you should be inspecting your equipment no matter what before you're using it, especially over time. I've had this for over a month now, not been an issue at all. The cables are smooth. The other feedback was that the cables were noisy and not smooth. Like, I don't notice that at all. I'm gonna put up a clip here of me using the actual cable so you can see what it sounds like. I mean, you can see the cables they're really smooth. The sound that you're getting is mostly just the rattling of the plates. But from my perspective, honestly, I don't notice any issue with the cables not being smooth. Now I'll show you the head up close here, just so you can see this. So it does ride on rollers, essentially, to be able to slide up and down. So it's the pull feature. Then you can do it with one hand for the most part. Some of them, this is kind of the one downside, but you know, for a cheaper rack, I'm not worried about it at all. Sometimes I have to use two hands, but usually I don't have to. I can even do it while holding the camera. Some of the more expensive ones have that bar that comes out here. I'll throw up a picture so you can see what it looks like. That way you can grab the bar and grab this and do it with one hand. But honestly, I mean, these things work pretty smooth even as they are. Now, the one really great feature about these posts is that you'll see, well, hopefully you can see, they're numbered. So you can see they're numbered, you know, 17, 19, you know, numbers every other one, which is really helpful, honestly, when you're trying to set these to be the same hole, or when you're trying to set your J hooks as well, when those are going in, makes that really simple. Now, for as much as I do love the cable system here, I mean, truly, like, it's phenomenal. It gives you so much additional exercises and stimulus that you can be able to provide to get you faster results. But there is the one downside that I don't like about these is the way that this is set up. So you'll see that there's the hook, which goes into the ball here. That's that anchor to keep it from sliding through, obviously. And it's caught by that little metal ball. But then behind it is this thing, which I get why it's there. It's there for additional support because of the pressure from however much weight plates you have stacked there. So when you're at a horizontal position, it's fine. If you're at a lower position and pulling up, it's not an issue. But I'll show you the one thing that does bother me is that if you're up high and you're pulling down, now that metal scrapes, which is, I mean, so far it hasn't been an issue, but over time, I mean, it's gonna deteriorate. And just, I mean, it only scrapes off the coloring a little bit. But the other thing is, this rack is not necessarily meant to be done a lot from a really vertical position. Most of the time you're gonna be at an angle where it's not an issue. The other crazy thing about this is that some of those really expensive ones, you may or may not necessarily get all the accessory equipment with this. But this, I mean, I honestly love because it comes with some plate holders on the back, which I did not have anything like that before. And what I would definitely recommend is if you're gonna get this, I would upgrade I think it's $100 upgrade to be able to get additional posts on the back that give you 3 different tiers for plate holders. That makes all the difference in the world, because otherwise you're gonna end up like me with plates all over the floor. But with that being said, it comes with a ton of accessory stuff, so I wanna show you everything that it comes with. I already had some really nice collar ties that I liked, but it did come with, I know these are a little bit cheaper version, but it came with 8 additional collar ties. So as you can see, it does come with a set of the handles for the cables, which gives you a lot of versatility to do any kind of, you know, flies, chest presses, you know, pulling, and that way you can get anywhere from a pronated to a supinated to a neutral type grip. You get like a wide rowing bar or a lat pull down bar and a shorter bar for a little more close of a row. Now the only downside, I love being able to have this, but in order to be able to do a lat pull down on a rack like this that's built for a home, so it's shorter, so you can't get that stretch at the top of the position, because in order to do so, what my wife and I do is we really just sit on the floor. Then it's just, depending on how much weight you're pulling, it's gonna be harder to keep yourself stationary. It works for us. I mean, it's a reality of us only having, you know, 7-ish feet to work with, but that is the one thing to consider. So if you want a full stretch, you're gonna need a bigger place to be able to have a taller rack that would allow you to get there. Even some of the more expensive power racks out there, that are made to be for like 8-foot ceilings, you're not necessarily gonna be able to get that. So it does come with those two. It also comes with the T-bar row, which this is really kind of nice to have. I still have not gotten to use it yet. And it also comes with a landmine, which I did not hook up because my kids are running in and around. We got a circular house, so they're kind of running through here a lot, which is why for this film, I did put on the foot kick here. I am not calling it the right term, but normally I leave that off, and I've left the landmine off because my kids are running and I don't want them to accidentally trip. Then the final thing that it does come with, which I really like as well, are the dipping bars. So you've got these dipping bars with 2 different distances in order to be able to do the dipping bars. There's a couple different ways of doing these. Honestly, I like this setup. Before, I've had ones that are curved or at an angle. These ones, although they're like straight out in front of you, it gives you different distances. Now the accessories are great, but I do have one small downside, is that it doesn't come with the ropes. This I actually bought separately because it's super helpful to have. If you got a cable system, you gotta have one of these. The thing with Evolpow is most of their other racks come with these, so I'm not quite sure why they don't include that with these. I think that would be a great addition if they wanted to start include that in the future, but you know, if you use this a lot, just make sure to get one of the racks that does have those. Or, I mean, I got these for $5. You can get them really cheap. One of the other things that I really love with the pull-up bar, now, a lot of people might like the pull-up bars where it's separated in the middle, so you can pull up and have your head go right in between. It's not as much of an issue for me. The previous rack that I had that. This one doesn't. Ultimately, I'm still able to hit my back the way that I want to. And this does give you, you know, you can get wide, close grip, narrow, neutral grip. I mean, you can get all the types of grips. And thankfully, even for me, I'm pretty short. I'm only 5'6". I can still reach up and grab and then be able to pull. There's different ways, obviously, that you can do it. Now, the cool thing is the knurling. So this, I really love about this. I don't know if I can get a good shot of it here. It's gonna be hard to tell, but it's insanely grippy. I mean, way better than the last rack that I had. So when I grab it, I mean, my hands just sticks right onto it. Now, with that being said, it does bring me to their barbell. So the barbell is also pretty sweet looking. Now, I have a barbell from Barbell Standard, which I love that barbell. It's sleek, it's beautiful, it's smooth. It's got all the grips that I want. But I will say the one difference that I did notice was that the barbell for Evolpow, the grip, I mean, the knurling is really pretty intense. Honestly, the grip on this is really impressive. It's a nice tight fit on the ends where the plates go on. And as it compares to my Barbell Standard, I think I love them both. The one thing I do like about the Barbell Standard barbell is that it does have knurling in the middle. If I ever need to do one-handed carries overhead with just the barbell, which sometimes I do incorporate that, I like having the option. And the Evolpow one does not have that, but I do like the black. I like having options. Now, what's really impressive is that this whole thing is $6.99. I mean, I was shocked. So, I mean, bang for your buck, you really can't beat that price for the thing that you're getting. Just as reference, the previous power rack that I had, it was just a rack. It had J-hooks, safety bars, and it did have dipping bars, and the pull-up bar, but that was it. That was used, I bought for $250 like 5 years ago. So spending a few hundred extra to be able to get like all of this, like more than you'll probably ever need to use, is well worth it in my opinion. And it's free shipping, which anytime I find a company that's willing to do free shipping or able to do free shipping, I mean, you're gonna be easily adding $150 to $200 additional over the cost of the equipment. So now you're saving that by getting something with free shipping. Now there's other cool features on here as well that I haven't even used as of yet, but you've got this hook down here that can be used as an anchor for bands or for a rope or any type of thing. I haven't even had a use for it yet. And they also have band posts. I haven't screwed these ones in just because I didn't need them, but I put them in there to be able to show you. But these ones are screwed in so that I can put bands looped around there as well to have band anchors, which I use bands quite often, so it's really nice to have that as a feature. Now the big question is, who is this for? Because first I will say, if you have a small space, if you have 8-foot ceilings, even if you've got less than 8-foot ceilings, like I said, I've got just about a little over 7-foot ceilings. This still fits well, it fits nicely. It's inside of my house. This is not obviously a garage or a basement. So it still allows me to have plenty of space. And I mean, frankly, it looks nice. It looks cool, even though it's not furniture. Now, if you're gonna be lifting insane amounts of weight, like let's say you're something like an Olympic power lifter and you tend to be maxing out often, so you need those safety bars. If you're doing that time and time over and over again, it might be well worth paying the extra money. Because I mean, you're gonna be upwards of at least $2,000 to be able to get a rack that's gonna be 11 gauge steel, a little bit sturdier. In that situation, you might wanna just spend the extra money. But for, again, 99% of people, this is gonna work perfectly fine. Now, if you have the extra space and you have the extra height and you want to be able to have the ability to do a more vertical pull down, then in that situation, I mean, and if you have the money, you may as well upgrade. But who this is specifically for is people who are tight on space, who need something compact, but it gives you everything that you're gonna possibly be needing to be able to do this all from home. Now the link is going to be down in the description. If this is the right purchase for you, it really would bless the channel if you could do that through the link down below. It doesn't cost anything extra for you. And as always, go get strong, but first go give your kids a hug like I'm about to go do, because I think that family matters way more than this. And I will see you over here on the next video.